Good morning, everyone. It's time for another recipe. And today I am going to make shepherd's pie. I hope you enjoy. Hi, I'm Karen, and this is Grandma's New England Kitchen. The first thing that we want to do is get the ground beef browning. And there goes my dog. It snowed and my husband is out there snow blowing and cleaning off the front porch, so she thinks she has to bark. It should be a pound of ground beef. I obviously have more than a pound here. But get it broken up and now I'll let it set and start to brown. So I'll bring it back in just a little bit when it's pretty much browned up. The beef is browning. I'll go ahead and explain some other things I did. I have some mushrooms, some dried mushrooms that I boiled put in here and boiled some water. And of course it cooled down and it sticks on there. So these are the mushrooms that I use. Hopefully you can see that. But they're from Pistol River. I actually get them from Azure Standard. And I want to drain the liquid off. And I know this little strainer is not going to hold, well, maybe it will hold all the mushrooms. And these are going to be diced up fine. But I'm going to get those draining. And go ahead and get the ground beef stirred up here, starting to brown. I'm going to use my little chopper to break it up a little bit smaller. Okay. And here we'll come back over to this. So the next thing that I'm going to add down is 1 chopped up Vidalia onion and 3 cloves of garlic. And at this point, I will put some salt and pepper in also. And the next thing that I'm going to move on to is chopping up the mushrooms. So let's move over here. And I want to squeeze them out as much as I can. And you can use regular mushrooms, baby bellas, button mushrooms. I should use a bigger knife. Let me move this over. Don't throw away that soaking liquid. We are going to use it. And I definitely need a bigger knife. But we're going to make this work. I have a habit of making things difficult on myself. If anybody watched the chicken portobello video, I had talked about how all the portobellos were for me. Usually this is how I can get my husband to eat mushrooms because he doesn't like them. So if I chop them up small and it's in minced stuff, he doesn't know and he eats them. Well, the chicken portobello, he ate the mushrooms. I thought a meteor was going to come down and strike the house. He ate those big pieces of mushroom and liked them. But how can you not? They're soaked in wine and garlic and the herbs. They cook for a long time in there. Okay, so these are chopped up enough. And this is going to go down also. We'll come back over to here now. Now mix up the mushrooms and hide them in there. Next thing I'm going to add is a half a teaspoon of oregano, a half a teaspoon of thyme, and a half a teaspoon of rosemary. They are dried. I'm going to add, I used my little chopper and chopped up a carrot, which was a very big carrot. I'm going to put that in so it can start cooking. And it will cook further when I put the stock and stuff in there. The ground beef is brown. So in the middle, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. It's going to be 2 cups of a beef broth. And what I have, instead of using a box one, at Christmas, I did a prime rib. And I made a lot of au jus. So the leftover au jus, I put it in a container and I froze it. So today, I actually got something thawed out for a meal. So that is about 2 cups of an au jus. But before I get to that, this is supposed to be how much wine? A cup of red wine. But I only have white. So white wine's going in there. No. If you have red wine, use red wine. You can even use Guinness. Or you can leave it out altogether if you don't want to put any alcohol in. You are cooking off the alcohol. It's mainly for flavor. The wine has pretty much cooked away. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of flour. And the great thing about refrigerating everything and putting it in the freezer is you can take the fat off the top of it. Because it all comes to the top. So now the 2 cups of beef stock are going to go in. It's already starting to look nice and rich. Then the mushroom stock. I'm only putting in half of it. So it's really about half of a cup. 3/4 of a cup. Make sure you don't disturb the bottom. You don't want all of the sediment to settle to the bottom before you put that in. So if there's any sand or anything that was on your dried mushrooms. Next thing that I add is a tablespoon of A1. You can use Worcestershire if you like, but if you watched my beef stew recipe, I use A1 instead. The next thing I like to add is about a tablespoon of Gravy Master. Just helps bring up that flavor a little bit more. This does smell good. And about a cup of peas. Now I'm going to cover this and let it simmer for a little bit. Thicken up. And I will bring you back when we go ahead and take this off and then start on the potatoes. So this is basically the base for the shepherd's pie. But let's let this simmer for a little bit. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so while this is simmering, and it is doing very nicely, turn it up a little bit. I need to get to peeling the potatoes. With the potatoes, you want to make sure you use a starchy potato, not a waxy potato. I prefer Russett's. Actually, I'm not sure of other starchy potatoes. I know there's a lot of waxy ones, but best thing to do is use some Russett's. And just basically mashed potatoes. I've already washed these. And we're just going to peel them, cube them, and get them boiling until they're soft. Drain them. And then go on to making the mashed potatoes. You do add things to the potatoes. I did not bring in a knife for this, so here we go. Little knives again. I'm just in a little knife mood today. Just basically cubing the potatoes. I'm going to finish working on these. Let that finish simmering. And then I'll get the potatoes to boiling. And when I get ready to drain the potatoes and add everything to it, then I will bring you back. The potatoes have come out of the boiling water. I have them in a strainer, and you want to put them in the pot and let most of the moisture and the steam come off of them to dry out your potatoes before we go to the next step. So as soon as these are dry, I will come back, I will bring you in closer, and we will get to whipping up the potatoes and then getting the shepherd's pie all put together. So, see you in a bit. It is time to move on and do the potatoes. They've been sitting here, they are dried out. Let's get them out of the pan. Move this on over to the side. So the first thing that I'm going to add in here is half a stick of butter, or 4 tablespoons. And this is soft butter. And then half a cup of heavy cream. Technically, this is half and half. I used up the last of my heavy cream. I'm just substituting all over the place today. So let's start getting this mixed up. And splatter everywhere. The next thing that's going to be added in there is half a cup of parm. Nope, 1 cup of parm. So let's start slow, so I'm not wearing it all. And you're going to see this is going to keep getting thicker and thicker, which you want for the top of a shepherd's pie. You don't want them runny. Okay, so the next thing is 2 egg yolks. So you want to make sure that your potatoes are not really hot right now, because you don't want to cook the egg yolks. That's why I let them steam for a while. So there's 1. Oh, broke up that shell. Let me just use this one. Okay, 2 egg yolks. That egg yolk broke, but that's okay. About to break it up even more. Just trying to get the potatoes off the mixer. Okay, so finished doing this by hand. So these are some very thick potatoes, which, like I said, is what you want. So now it comes time to assemble. You do want to mix this in a little bit better. Let me get everything out and we'll come back and assemble these. Here we go on the assembly. Put this lid off to the side. So I have my filling. And I'm going to put it in these little cast iron dishes. Just love these little cast iron dishes for something like this. And I have put it on a pan with foil just in case there's any bubbling over. And technically, each one of these can feed 2 people. Okay. So there we go. There's the meat portion. Now for the potatoes. And actually I'm looking down at this and hoping I made enough. They are thick. I just like to use 2 spoons and try to spread it out some first. And I have a feeling I did not make enough, but we'll see. And this is probably going to take a while, so I don't think that I'll get through this one for everyone to see. Yeah, I think I do have enough, maybe. And you want to try to seal it off to the edges. Okay, I am going to finish putting potatoes on the other 2. I have my oven preheating at 375, but I'm going to come back before I go and put them in there. So let me finish getting the potatoes on. I'm pretty sure I do have enough. So I'll see you in just a minute. I wanted to bring you back before I finished up this one and let you know, do not fill your containers up to the very tippy top. I forgot to mention that part because you are putting potatoes on. So if you took it all the way to the top and then tried to put potatoes on, you're going to have stuff spilling out everywhere. So just make sure that you keep it down for about as much that you're going to put on for potatoes. And I think I am going to make it with my potatoes. Technically, probably by the skin of my teeth, but so yeah, because each time you put in potatoes, you're just basically filling it up more and more. Okay, let me finish this up and then I will bring you back when I finish off the top. I had to bring you back. I really barely made this. But I do have enough. Without any to waste. Actually, have a little extra to go around on the other pans. But, okay, so what I'm going to do is try to smooth it off some. And okay, I have some butter melting. Let me go and get that real quick. And these are going to be about ready to go into the oven. So, see you in a bit. Okay, so I have some melted butter. Get a brush. And I just like dabbing some butter on the top before they go into the oven. Just helps with browning the potatoes. And pretty much, definitely, everything in here is cooked all the way. So you're really putting it in the oven to heat it up. And I said 375. I don't know what I was thinking. These are going to go in at 400. And it's just enough to heat them up and brown the tops. I know I probably could have done prettier with my mashed potatoes, but hey, I'm going to eat them. They're all going in the belly. Okay, so these are ready to go into the oven, 400 degrees, and I'll show you what they look like when they're all done. See you in a bit. It's a little while for me, but see you when they're done. Just make sure you keep an eye on them when they're in the oven. You don't want them to burn. You just want them to get nice and golden brown on the top. If you really wanted to get fancy, you could do little divots on your mashed potatoes so the peaks get extra brown. I'm not going that far, but just keep an eye on them. See you in a bit. The shepherd's pie is all done and they look beautiful. If I had some fresh chives, I'd sprinkle them on top, but I don't. So they're piping hot. I'm afraid to dig into this, but I will. It's very piping hot. Oh, I don't know if I want to put this in my mouth right now. It's steaming. Okay. Bring the camera up. Do my most dreaded part, the tasting on camera. I'm really afraid I'm going to burn my mouth. I'm scared. Yeah. This is very good. It does remind me very much of when I lived in England and getting shepherd pie at the pubs. It's good. Just try it. I hope you do give it a try. And if you like the video, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.